Here we happen to be on Tet Shvat, and that marks the Hilula of a really great rabbi who we've mentioned about on various occasions before. His name was Rabbi Rafael Yeshaya Azoulay, Zecher Tzedek Livracham, the great rabbis of his time, famous Shluchei D'Rabbanan, and would become the head of the Jewish court in Ancona in Italy, respectively. Let's explore some of the highlights of the great rabbi's life. I believe was born somewhere in the early to mid 1700s in of itself, respectively. He passed away, I believe, in the English year 1826. I believe some people say he was born in the Hebrew year Hey Taf Kuf Gimel. Very interesting enough. So possibly around 1742, 1743 in of itself. And I believe he was born in Jerusalem, one of the four holy cities of Israel. And he was the firstborn son of the famous rabbi, the Chida, Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Azoulay. Also a rabbi we've spoken about many occasions before on this series, and one of the greatest rabbis, arguably, of all time. He would study under auspices of his father and become known as one of the great sages, one of the great rabbis in Jerusalem. I believe at one stage in time there was a letter in that circulated, I think in the year Taf Kuf Nun Hey, and it was praising him, and his father was Shuhu Ma'ayan Gadol Belamed Kama V'Kama Im Gonei Ashkenaz. Very interesting enough. It seems like he was learning not just with the great Sephardi Rabbanim, but very much with the great Ashkenazi Rabbanim in of itself. And I believe he would get married to the daughter of Rabbi Abraham Asko. I think she happened to, Rabbanit Simcha. And sadly, I believe she passed away, I think when he was a Shluchei D'Rabbanan, a rabbinic, let's just say immersory at that stage, at some stage in time, in of itself, this was. And actually it happens to be a rabbinic immersory used to be very common in those times, where, especially from North African countries, or rabbis from Israel would travel all over North African countries, parts of Europe, to strengthen those communities respectively, inject them and with Torah, and also fundraise for to come back with money to strengthen the communities in Eretz Yisrael, especially in 4 different holy cities. Then I believe he would travel to various countries as a representative of the city of Tiberias in Israel, naturally, another one of the 4 holy cities. And he would, one of the countries he would, I think his last stop would be, was in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands itself, and he would settle and get married to Rachel, who happened to be, I believe, the daughter of Rabbi Yechiel Shalem, and happened to also be a granddaughter of the famous Rabbi Shlomo Shalem, a rabbi I believe also we've spoken about, the great in of itself. He was, I think, part of the chief rabbi of Vidlin, and he was part of the Jewish community of Belgrade and Portuguese community of Amsterdam, respectively. So really, really married into very great heritage in of itself. And he was, it was reported over, it could be he was also, as well as being great Talmid Chacham and great teacher, he was in the book trading business during that period in time. And I believe that after the passing of Rabbi Chaim Abraham Yisrael, who was famous Posek and Shadar, also Shluchei D'Rabbanan in of itself, Ancona, the community leaders turned to Rabbi Chaim David Azoulay the Chida for recommendation for a Talmid Chacham, a great Torah scholar, to ascend to the rabbinate of the city. The Chida suggested several names, such as Rabbi Nissim Gabai, I think of Constantinople, and Rabbi Rafael Hazan of Izmir, really great rabbis himself, as well as his son Rabbi Rafael Yeshaya, very great rabbi, so just be among the caliber of itself. And Rabbi Rafael Yeshaya would eventually arrive in Cana in, I believe, the year 1788, and he would serve there, and he would stay in this position until he passed away. He would be in constant correspondence while he was working with his father, the famous Chida, and I think actually the Chida would actually travel to visit and meet him at one stage in time. Very, very, arguably a really great rabbi in of itself. Now, it's actually interesting, the Siena community in of itself, Siena is the capital province of the Tuscany region in Italy, invited him to serve as a rabbi at one stage in time. But I think during that period, he would decline because he was, at that point in time, part of the Ancona community. So it was very, very integral part and very, very important in of itself. Now, I believe he passed away, I think in the year 1826. He was 83 years of age when he passed away. Very, very great rabbi, and one of the famous Italian rabbis, and one of the famous rabbis that was in Italy in of itself. Now, it's actually interesting. He actually authored some very simple books in of itself. A Teshuvah book called the Imrei Noam, which was a very different great book. I think which was printed within regards to Tiferet Moshe, which was, I think, among his son's book by Moshe in the Zichron Moshe in of itself. That was printed in Livorno in the Hebrew year, Taf Kuf Tzadik. Also would print various books on drashot, which would be in manuscript form in of itself, Chidushim and teachings, answers within regards to the book of his father, the famous Chida, which very interesting. Now, among his generations, among his descendants, was many great descendants. Let's explore some of the great descendants. The Azoulay rabbinic dynasty in of itself. Rabbi Yitzchak, I think, was one of his son from his first wife, Rabbinit Simcha. He would live in Italy, and he would take on various different rabbinic roles in of itself. I think he was part of the yeshiva, Rabbi Meir Rebbe in of itself. I think he would actually become a rabbi also in Berlin and get married to Rabbinit Bila, if I'm not mistaken, in Hamburg, and would actually pass away at the end in London. Another one of his sons was Rav Moshe from his second wife. He was born, I believe, in the year 1787, while his father was in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. He would live in, obviously, in Ancona, and become the author of various different great books, including the Zichron Moshe, which we've spoken about before, and Lechem Min Hashemayim. And another one, I believe he also had two daughters, Rabbanit Sarah and Rabbanit Rebecca, respectively. Very, very great rabbi of his time. He passed away in the year 1826. Very, very well traveled. He was in Jerusalem, in Amsterdam, in Italy, in of itself. One of the great rabbis of his time. He passed away nearly exactly 200 years ago from time recording. Famous Abed, head of Jewish court, respectively, in Ancona, in Italy. Don't forget to like Kelton's Rami Tet Shvat marks his Hilula over here. We're a community here. We're learning about the great rabbis of yesterday. Please subscribe to the channel. If you feel anyone's interested in watching these videos, please share the videos with others. And wishing you blessings. I'm recording this just for Shabbat. So wishing you all Shabbat Shalom Uvrach and be well. I'm wishing you all a good time.